I'm Alex. Welcome back to my channel. And today we are going to be going over my goals and some things I'd like to do on this channel and in general for 2025. Mostly reading goals, mind you. So the first thing I'd like to do is read something I don't read pretty much at all. Nonfiction. Somehow, over the last year or two, I've managed to collect a small stack of them that I'd like to read, figure out what I want to keep, what I don't. So I'm going to go over the books that I intend to read. So the first book is Agrippina by Emma Salfin. This tells about, is Agrippina the younger or older? I can't remember. Anyway, she was the mother of the Roman Emperor Nero. A lot of things going on, and boy did her son try to her a few times, and it didn't work a lot of those times. But this is a biography of her that I just thought would be interesting. Our next book is Royal Renegades by Linda Porter, The Children of Charles I and the English Civil Wars. I was in a mood at one point when I started these, or started getting these, where I was into English history, and did it vaguely have anything to do with because I got hooked on Six and then started learning history again? Maybe. Musicals will do it every time. And speaking of books I have because of musicals, The Federalist Papers. For any of you who watched Hamilton about 1,000 times, these were what they wrote. These were papers written, they were essays written in favor of the new Constitution as agreed upon by the Federal Convention, September 17, 1787, written by Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay. I have no excuse for having this other than that musical, because the song that involved them writing this was amazing, and I got slightly obsessed. So now I own this and I'm going to read it. More than likely, I'll read it through once and it'll become a reference style book for me. I probably won't get rid of it. It's got a nice faux leather cover and it's just real pretty. So, it's a thing I probably now own forever. The next book, I will take no criticism on. It is purely a fandom-based thing for me. So, next yes, this is the book about BTS. 10-year record of BTS, and did I also get it because I wanted photos that I could practice drawing from? Yeah, yep. Is it also going to be fascinating for me because I actually really like BTS? Yep. This is the one book I have an excuse for. I don't know how I got the rest of this. Okay. Our next book is a Goodwill book, so the cover is horribly mangled. But I actually think I have an excuse for this one too. Not that I need an excuse, but you know what I mean. It is The Secret Life of Oscar Wilde. Who else remembers the internet going absolutely insane for a period of time over Oscar Wilde? I do. Also, he wrote Dorian Gray. There were a lot of injustices that I feel happened. Like the aestheticism movement dying out because it was attached to him when he got arrested, which means that the death of that movement was pure homophobia. I could do an entire video on that. I'm not going to because none of you need to see me get that angry. And this is just a taste of what that entire video would be. Here's the other. This one is historical. It also comes off to me as it might... Oh, no. Okay, it isn't even. So, this book is The War of the Roses. I know, that's really hard to see. These covers are stupid shiny. By Alison Ware. Let me see if you can see the... Yeah. There we go. This quite literally is about the war between Lancaster and York, which were the roses in the War of the Roses. The red and the white rose. Would you believe me if I told you this was a dollar store find and I was shocked to see an actual book like this at the dollar store, so I just grabbed it? Also, I grew up in around... My mother took me to the Ren Fair every year, and inevitably, the thing they were doing was the War of the Roses. So this is just kind of like ingrained into my psyche to want to read. And yet I never read it. We're going to change that this year. So our next book is Believe Me. Oh, I guess that would be easier, huh? A Memoir of Love, Death, and Jazz Chickens by Eddie Izzard. I saw an interview once, and I don't know. I went through a thing where I basically told my family that if they saw a book at the Goodwill or whatever that involved the LGBTQIA community, to just get it for me. And this was one of them, and part of me feels like I'm just going to really... I feel like enjoy is the wrong word. Memoirs are one of those weird sort of grounds where it's like, can you actually enjoy a story? Because it's like, it's someone's life. It feels weird to like say something like that. Also, I just realized my crown is totally off center. Oh well, it's going to stay like that. But I don't know. It feels like one I'm going to end up keeping. Speaking of books I'm going to end up keeping, Ian McKellen. Written by Gary O'Connor. It doesn't matter how I feel after I read this, I am keeping this. Ian McKellen is amazing. It sounds weird to say, but I think it's a privilege to be able to read anything about his life, that he allowed us into his life. It's definitely a book I am looking forward to reading. Next, we have Transition by Chaz Bono and Billy Fitzpatrick. For those who don't know, Chaz Bono is the son of Cher. This is basically his story about realizing that he was trans and transitioning and going through that whole thing. There is a chance I probably won't hold on to this one. We'll see. I don't imagine I'm actually going to hold on to a lot of these, except for the ones I obviously was like... Next, we have Alan Alda, Things I Overheard While Talking to Myself. Now, I didn't realize it when I got this. This is actually the second book of his memoir, or whatever he decides to call it. I will still just read it. For those who don't know, for any of you old enough to recognize this show, I know Alan Alda, as many people older than me do, as one of the doctors in MASH, which was a show about a military medical unit. And for the life of me, I can't remember which war it was. I should know better. I don't remember at this point. It's been a while, and I need to find a copy of it somewhere so I can watch it again. I loved him in that show, and he just seemed like an interesting person to learn about. And finally, for our nonfiction, I can only say I enjoy philosophy. It is The Cave and the Light by Arthur Herman, which is Plato versus Aristotle and the struggle for the soul of Western civilization. Yes, it's basically the combative philosophies of Plato and Aristotle and how the two of them could not agree on anything and their takes on humanity, basically. It's a chunky. It might be one where I start and I read it in sections. The next thing I want to tackle is this year I set my goal at 12 books and I crushed that. For 2025, I want to up that goal to a reasonable but challenging goal, which is 25 books. Which brings us into our challenges, because for 2025, I am taking part in 25 in 2025, or 25 in 25, hosted by Bree over at Four Paws in a Book. And that will have its own video coming out where I go over the books I'm reading for that, or at least the ones I tentatively have slated for reading for that. I am doing B&K Book Club again, so there is a chance that some books may get swapped out if they work with the book club book. That being said, I'll cover all that in that video. I do not know necessarily what challenges yet. At the time of recording this, I have not found a lot of predetermined challenges for 2025. There are some that if they repeat, like Leandra doing TBR Harvest again, I'll be doing that. But if Buzzword happens, I might try and do that. We'll see. But I'm going to try and do a couple of the challenges that come up throughout the year. I don't want to necessarily do competitive challenges because I find them too stressful. And honestly, I just don't read as fast as a lot of other people. So they always make me feel kind of like I'm not doing enough. So I try and stay away from competitive. But we'll see what pops up, and you guys will definitely see TBRs for those and anything like that. Miscellaneously goals. Yes, I have things written here. Miscellaneous goals is I'd like to post regularly, so feel free to, if you see a video you like and you want to see more of it, let me know. If you have things you want to see me doing, let me know. I am open to all suggestions. You are going to see things coming from this channel. I just tend to do things I like doing and hope everyone else likes it. It'll definitely either be related to fantasy or books, so somehow that tenuous bond will be made, which is also a thing. I want to do some different things related to books that aren't just TBRs. Like maybe I have slated to do a video on a look makeup thing based on book characters. We'll see how that goes. I'm not quite sure how to film that at the moment, but we'll see how it goes. I was thinking of doing like a, hey, this tea works with this book, or making a meal based on a book or from a book, doing art bookmarks based on books or whatever. Just a bunch of things that I don't see very often, and also just kind of draw back into my other hobbies because that's what I do. So as far as reading goes, my focus is actually on physical books because I am not turning this camera around for you to see the sheer number of piles of books behind you. But I will point out, this shelf was supposed to be, and it goes down another 2 shelves. This bookshelf was supposed to be for my books that I would save if there was a fire. That's not what's on this shelf for the most part. So I have a lot of books on here I need to read to find out if they should be on this shelf or they need to be on a different shelf. My final goal for 2025, for this channel at least, is I'd like to make a TBR game. Now, fun fact, I don't have a lot of space in my dwelling, as you may be able to tell by the fact there is I'm going to call it a wall, it's a door. It's a wall. So the idea of having a big board game that I have to keep pulling out and setting up and try to film that way is not feasible for me. What is feasible is making a computer game as a TBR game. So I am programming my own board game as a TBR game that I can record and then take those prompts and show you guys the books. It's going to take a while. I have never programmed a thing in my life. I am starting from absolute scratch, and I intend to do artwork to go with it to make it look aesthetically pleasing.
It's a lot, but my hope is by about June, July-ish, I might have something. We'll see. It might just be a skeleton and it'll have to start there, but my hope is to have something by then.
We'll see how it goes. Wish me luck.
So that is my goal setting for this channel for 2025. Let me know what your goals are looking like for 25, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!